Hey guys, this is Toxic here. So this is going to be the first video on the channel. Before we go ahead and get started, I'll leave a timestamp where it actually just starts. But this is going to be for pixel art graphics. All the essentials you're going to need in Photoshop. Um, it's going to be a Photoshop tutorial because this is all I use really. There is a lot of different programs you can use for making pixel art. But however, this is seems to me to be the easiest and the best solution for it. You can plug everything in from here to your own engine, to Unity, basically anywhere. So, let's go ahead and get started. Um, Actually, the reason why I'm doing these tutorials is because I'm working on games right now, and there's not enough tutorials on YouTube to show everybody legit everything, or mostly everything. Sorry, I'm not gonna be able to show everything, obviously, but basically, what I was gonna do was when I'm working on the game, I'll upload videos, I'll show you techniques, things that you could do to make and produce your own game. I actually might even throw on how to make sounds for your game. A little bit of coding eventually. I'll stick to C sharp because that's what a lot of people use in Unity. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started here. Just one second. Um, so first, Photoshop is not free, but there definitely is cracked versions on YouTube that a lot of people exploit. Super easy to get it. Um, I'm not promoting it though because I don't know if I can get in trouble for that. However, it is really easy to get. If you don't have it, I recommend just getting it. Um, a lot of programs are already almost identical to Photoshop though, so it's not really that big of a problem. But today I'll be explaining all the hotkeys that you're gonna need inside Photoshop. Anyways, let's start. So, if you push Control N, it brings up a new file. And today we're just gonna I would a lot of people I've seen tutorials where it says the width and height, and then they'll be like 20 and 13. Let's just say. A lot of people won't want to work with that in their games. They'll want exact sizes that multiply by 8. So like 8 by 8 or 16 by 16, 32, 32, 64, 64, 128, 128, 256. Yeah. And so on. Mostly they only range to 256. Um, a lot of games won't pixelate anything higher than that because then you can basically just draw 2D. So anyways, for the sake of the purpose today, we're just going to open up a 64 by 64 pixels. You want to make sure this is switched on to pixels. We're also going to want to make sure that the background is not white, but transparent. I'll explain more about that in a second. Anyways, square pixels. This doesn't really matter right now because I always do save as. I'll explain that in a second too. But anyways, you're just going to want to push OK. Now you can see push Z to get your magnifying glass zoom tool on. And now if you hold Alt, it can go out. It will zoom out. But if you just have it without holding Alt, you can zoom in. So if you zoom in, Photoshop should, focus it right to the screen eventually for every type of document. So, right there is pretty good. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to push B for your brush tool. By default, Photoshop has this on, it's your brush tool. We do not want to work with that in Photoshop. As you can see, it doesn't give us squared or perfect like filledness. It's just disgusting for pixel art. I recommend I recommend using your pencil tool, and to get it, you can just right click on it on your brush tool or anywhere. You can always right click to see the other tools, and you just select pencil tool. Let's go ahead. You want to pick the first one here. Well, mostly any of these works because I'm using one pixel right now. I'll explain brushes in a different video. And you want to bring the size down to 1. And as you can see, it is filled completely. Um, so it's not opaque at all. And basically, this is the brush tool. We'll just keep that like that for now. Oh, well, before we go on, though, we're going to go through the settings that you're going to need to do pixel art. So you're going to want to click Edit. You're going to go to Preferences. You're going to go to General. And as you can see here, the image interpolation is, I think your guys will start on Billionaire or Bicubic, best for smooth. I don't remember which one, but either way, you want to switch it to nearest neighbor. Once you have that, it's good. And also, you're going to push, actually, we'll go to Guides, Grids, and Slices next from General. So this is basically all the pixels here. Actually, I'll show you an easier way. So the transparent background is, as you can see here, it's all the gray and white dots. That's how Photoshop represents that there's nothing in the background. If you go ahead and push G for your paint bucket tool, you're going to want to make sure it's on foreground, and anti-alias is off. Alias, sorry. You don't want that on because it will sometimes. Okay, let's take a. See this pixel right here? If this is on, it fills over top. Okay, hold on. Let's pick a different color for a second. It goes through any cornered pieces, and sometimes it actually overlaps. See, I clicked again, left clicked, and it overlaps it, and you definitely don't want to do that with pixel art. It will get super intense and annoying. So you're gonna take that off, and no matter how many times I click here, it's just gonna not do it. So 1 second though. Alright, we'll just leave that for now. But anyways, as you can see, the background is transparent. And now this is how the background, actually the background comes white. The background comes white by default if we would have selected it there. And when you go to save the image, and if you were trying to use this in a video game or anything, it would be a full square of 128 pixels for the game. So this whole thing would be just a mess. So we just definitely don't want to do that. So we'll just leave it transparent for now. But anyways, let's go to View. We're going to go to Show. And we're going to go to... Oh, I already have it on. Okay, let's take that off. So we'd go to Show, sorry. And we'd put on Pixel Grid. And as you can see, if you push Z and zoom in, each pixel, one by one, is showed nicely. Now, I use this one over... Let's turn it off for a second. Now, you can also do View, Show, and Grid. But as you can see, the grid is so much more, if you scroll out a little bit here. It's hard to see what you're drawing at this point because it's so, the markings are just so dense. Like, it's just too much. You can edit it though. You can go to Edit, Preferences, Guides, Grids, and Slices. You can make the color black. We can do lines. We definitely want to do lines. 1 second. Oh, this is Guide. Sorry. That doesn't matter. Sorry, I meant to go to Grid. It's a little smoother. It's still just too much, I find, anyways. But you can make it. Let's say you wanted this by 16 by 16, so you could see. Oh no, sorry, that's one. That's all 16 pixels. You could break it down into the 16 pixels inside of it. So the inside of it is less dark than the outside lines, so you can still see it. And then you could color, or if we went to tile, which we'll talk about later, it's super helpful. But anyways, for now though, we're gonna leave it at 1 by 1 because I'm just gonna turn it off. Oh, we're gonna turn the pixel grid back on now. It's super helpful. All right. Anyways, there's that. The eraser tool is used by pushing E. Anything up here that I should mention? Eventually, like I said again, we're gonna keep it at 1 pixel for now, and we're just gonna use the first one here for brushes. But you can do some cool patterns with some of these later. I'll explain that in different videos when I go to use it. Um, but if you just hold down, it's obviously gonna just erase. But it's very smooth, very nice. So that's that. Oh, you can also, if you just want to make it perfectly, like it's hard to kind of have straight lines on Photoshop. You can also just hold Shift down, or if you want to make it super easy, you left click on the area, and then hold Shift and left click again where you want it to go, and it will cut or erase to there. Alright, and while I'm on that subject, we're going to push B here. We're going to zoom out. We'll zoom in a little. Okay. Now, push. Oh, we're going to push I actually. That will bring up your, that will bring up the color picker. And you're just going to left click on the color you want. And it changes your color palette to that color. It's very useful. We're going to use black right now. And then we're going to push B again for brush. And I'm just going to show you lining. So it's if you some of you don't have computer mice that has lower DPI, so like essentially it's gonna be hard to draw a straight line. So again, just hold Shift down when you do it, or left click and hold Shift, and you can basically go to the line you want to. It's really useful later on. I won't get into details about that now. As you can see, though, my drawing's nothing. It's a potato, if anything, right now. What else on the left side here? Oh, we can show you the rectangular tool as of right now. So, if you push M, and let's say you wanted to highlight this area, everything inside the square you see lit up is the only place you can edit at all on Photoshop. So the lines are not going outside. So basically, it's very useful when you need to just draw in a certain location. You can also, by pushing V, grab the cursor tool, or it's called move tool, but and you can move everything in the pixeled area, because it just takes it won't take any of the transparent. It will move to the nearest pixel, nearest neighbor, and it will completely enhance it and move it around. So basically, you could put it down more. As you can see, it looks nicer. Well, not really, but I could use it like this, and I could edit a few pixels, but it's very useful. Another way of doing this is pushing L for your lasso tool. If you right click, you don't want this one, or you don't want the magnetic. You just want the lasso tool, because if left click to unselect everything, by the way. Basically, if we wanted to move just this black stuff, the black pixels here, you go around the edges, or as close as you can, because it will go to the closest pixel. And now let's just say we wanted to fill that. We'd push I to grab the color, left click on the screen, then we'd push G to get the paint bucket tool, and we would left click in there because it won't go to the outside, and it would fix it up. That's a really helpful tool anyways. Something else I wanted to show you guys. Oh yes, let's push Control Alt or let's draw something quickly. Let's just do this. Now let's say I accidentally went out of the lines, whatever you needed to do. The undo command is Control Z on here, but that will only do it once. You have to actually push Control Alt Z, and it will start undoing everything. So we'll just leave it like that. It will just keep going back. And let's say you went back too far, you just push Control Z, and it will replace all the Alt Z things you just how many times you went on undo. So we'll just keep it like this. Let's grab this quickly. Another thing I'm going to mention today is down here. I don't remember if Photoshop defaults this. I think it does. The timeline is for animation, which I'll go on about in different videos. I'm not going to get into that today. But you can also have view or window and timeline selected. You want to have that on because mostly everything in pixel art is animated to make it look nice. And I'll explain it more in the future. So if you want to leave that on, that's cool. All right, and let's talk about the color picker while I'm at it too. Um, so there's every hue and every color here, basically. There's no white palette over here or black. It's all on the left, all the way down on the complete left. But depending on which color you pick, you can see it goes gradually to it. The white and blue, purple and blue, stuff like that. You can type them in. I don't know them off by heart. I find it funny when I watch videos and they're like, oh, type in R, this color, and this color. It's just all they're doing is trying to act smart, but you just click. They clicked before the video. Another thing. Okay, so that's pretty much it with color picker, though. But another thing that we're going to need to explore way later down the road, or actually not later at all, actually. It's just going to be, I use this every time as layers. Let's just say we have the new layer is down here. You just left click it and see how it goes coordinate like layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. So whatever's above the layer, so let's just click the potato for example. Now we can draw on this. Oh, whoops. We can draw over this right now. But if we were to select layer 2, it's like stacking items on top of each other. And if you were looking straight down at them, you would see the item on top. So let's go ahead and just pick a different color. Or actually, I'm going to pick a way different color. Alright. And now, this is going on top of the potato because that layer is on top of right now. We'll just call, while we're at it, double click on the text on it. We'll just call it potato. You want to have it name oriented because it will be so confusing later. I swear you'll have like 70 different ones. Every time you're coloring in Photoshop inside lines, I suggest making a new layer. I'll explain why in a second. So right now layer 2 is on top of that one, but if you hold it down and drag it to the bottom, it goes behind. And now this can work effectively for a lot of things like coloring in, shading, all of that. But as of right now, we'll just put it on top. And now, let's say layer 3, we want it on top, it doesn't matter. Right now, as layer 2, we'll just take it off completely. The little eye here indicates if it's invisible or visible. So, we'll just keep it like that. Alright, and now layer 3, we'll just have it at the bottom because it's not going to overlap anything. Now, we chose black here. You can choose any color for this demonstration. Let's just say you wanted a... This is definitely not a circle. A weird form of shape. We'll just have this here. And now, let's say you wanted to paint it gray without... Let's say it was a difficult shape and it wouldn't just... You had more stuff inside and you didn't want to just push the paint bucket tool. As you can see... Let's say I had to fill it in with the, see how I went over the outline with the brush. So what I would do is, let's just say this was going to be a rock. I'd call this rock. I would drag down a new layer under the rock. I would call this rock color. Yes, I'm Canadian. So basically, let's go again. Now, it's not going outside of the lines. Or over top of the lines, which is really helpful. Like, super helpful. And it gets really complicated eventually. But I just wanted to show you guys that with the layers. We'll just call this blue. There's a few more things we can do. Let's say we were shading, or we wanted the blue to actually be shade. The opacity is the percent of the whole layer, the visibility of it. So, usually in games, though, 30 looks really nice for shade. So that's what I usually use. We'll just keep it at that for now. So that's basically another thing I wanted to get onto. And see how it only did it for that layer. It's really helpful. another thing. So we could all make. You're probably wondering why I have so many layers when this could just be an exact one photo or one layer. So to do that, you can either, let's say we just wanted the blue with the potato. So like we just wanted these two layered. What we would do is essentially right click and we'd um, merge down the layer. So now it's just one layer. So when we push B. Oh, 1 second. If we move the potato now, the blue moves with it. It's all just one layer. And a second thing, you can make these all one layer by pushing Control Shift E. It merges them all together. And I think that's the last of the layers I want to talk about. You can all actually no, one last thing. You can make folders and put these inside the groups. However, I don't even find a point of that. Maybe if you had like a super resoluted picture, you're not gonna have to do that really in pixel art. I mean, you could if you had a bunch of layers and for eye and all that, but it's kind of pointless. But anyways, let's get back to this. For the last thing on this tutorial, I basically covered all the easy things. Um, okay? Another thing is if you're working on more than one thing at once, you can drag and drop your. I'm using two monitors. I'm not going to switch it over to the other monitor because you won't see it. But you can actually switch this to the other monitor. You can put this here. You can drag the other file over. It's pretty resourceful if you wanted to look and draw at the same time for it. But anyways, let's go on to files. So you can open PSD files, which are Photoshop documents, and it can only be opened in Photoshop. I'll explain how to save them in a second like that. So basically what it does, a Photoshop document, it saves your layers. It basically, it keeps everything, all your tools and all that, to what they were at when you had this document open last. So when you save it. So basically, let's open this house quickly. I opened the house. See, it's just like, oh, oops. I opened a PNG file, didn't I? I have the shading on the right, and I have the house. But as you can see, when I opened just a PNG file, it didn't give me that option. Like, it didn't show my other layers I used. But anyways, there's that. So, let's go ahead and do save as. I suggest never using save, honestly. I always just do save as. Now, of course, I'm not going to save this in here. Let's go to pictures here. We'll just call this. You want to have it nice name and convention, so call this a potato cooker or something. I do use underscores for words. That's cocker. Alright. And now we'd save this as a Photoshop document, a PSD. And we'd save that. But that doesn't actually save an image if you wanted to upload it to other things. Like Unity, you can use JPEG. JPEG would be for if we had the background filmed, like I said. But in this demonstration, most art for pixel art, we just do .png, which is basically the transparent background will show. So we'd save that as that. So that's basically it though for this tutorial. It was a good first tutorial. I'm not gonna say that stupid crap like follow and subscribe or whatever. If you want to, you want to, man. Like it's all good though. I'm gonna be bringing out tutorials on actually how to draw almost anything, because every type of item I've ever had to do or draw at all, they're completely different for shading. You got to make them look 3D without using any 3D. It's all just shading. But yeah, I'll just do that in the next video. I hope you guys liked it, and have a great day. Oh, while I'm at it, I'm going to mention on the right, under layers, we can duplicate the layers. So it's basically like making a second one of it. Raw copy, sure. Just right click and you click duplicate layer, push OK. As you can see, it's added a second layer, which you can move around, of the exact same thing. It's very useful. And we're just going to go ahead and delete that by clicking on it and pushing delete. You can also grab your rectangular tool. You can grab everything. Or actually, no, hold on. If you push Control T, it will bring up an area selected, and you want it nearest neighbor over here when you have it selected. Now, what I did not know for a long time is if you drag these boxes out to make it bigger, like that's what you'd think you'd want to do. As you can see, it's getting very cropped. Everything's getting distorted. You don't want that, so push Control Z. If you hold Shift while doing it, it will try to keep it as best as it can. See, as you can see, it put it to the right area when I let go of it. Not Shift, I let go of the click. So hold Shift the entire time, and it will perfectly keep it. As you can see, though, the image is so small that you're gonna have extra. You'll have to go in and edit it. But anyways, yeah. I hope you liked the video. You can just click commit transform at the top to edit that. But yeah, I hope you guys liked the video, and yeah, have a great day.